This conference will now be recorded.
Yesterday, we started the course and completed the demo. In the demo, I went through entire course content. I explained what are the areas I'm going to cover in the future sessions. Integrated financial planning, which is also called as S4HANA financial planning. Operational expenses planning, product cost planning, capital expenditure planning, sales and profitability planning, financial statement planning. So the modeling for these scenarios we are going to understand. We are going to understand the product, and it's a hands-on training. This is what we understood. Today, let's understand the business scenario. Business scenario in the sense when you are going to, so what is the need for this particular financial planning, this particular SAC product. So we are, let's say I'm a business user. I'm a business user. I work for a particular company, XYZ company. So I am familiar with the fundamentals of SAC. I have some modeling concepts. SAC, we have some modeling, all those things we perform, right? Story, I have some knowledge. My company want to implement enterprise planning or financial planning or integrated financial planning. But I'm new to this particular planning, right? So I have some SAC understanding. I have normal planning experience, but I don't have SAC planning experience. I mean, configuration experience or whatever you say. So this course will give you the planning experience. I mean, creating, designing the planning solution, how to design that planning solution using SAC. This course is going to give you. So if I know only SAC, if I have some functional planning experience, then I can understand how to plan using SAC with this particular course. Today, after this course, you can understand integrated financial planning. However, I suggest you join with a team. Like you should have one experienced project lead. So if you already worked in BPC planning scenarios, you already worked on planning um, uh, on SAP products, then it's okay. You can go for a lead position and whatever. But if you are new to planning, SAC planning or BPC planning, you have not done any planning scenarios, this is the first time you are doing, then understand this integrated financial planning and try to work with a experienced project lead so that you will be guided. Yeah. So what are the tasks you are going to perform when you implement SAC planning? You are going to create planning models. You are going to create data actions, allocations, stories. Using these things, they are going to perform planning activities. They means the users, planning users. The planning user, whomever is going to input the data, they need input layouts for the planning. They need version management. They need planning simulations. They need copying the data. They want to calculate some they want to calculate COGS, sales, product cost. So you are going to give solution for all those tasks. So the particular, when you implement SAC project, when you join in SAP Analytics Cloud Planning project, you have different phases. All right. So the different steps I'm saying here, steps to implement SAP Analytics Cloud Planning. You have preparation phase. You can see the preparation phase. Then you have plan, predict, analyze. So this is planning phase basically. the users going to plan here using the input templates and all those things. And you are going to develop input templates, value driver trees, whatever required for this predictive techniques, all those things. Then finalization. So three steps you can say here: preparation, plan, and finalization. These three steps. Now, in the preparation phase, what we are going to perform. So first phase, preparation phase. So in the preparation phase, you are going to build the planning models and dimensions. When you can build the planning models and dimensions, so uh, we already know the requirements. So we already have that scope of work, and we have already having that design. So then in the system, in the SAC system, SAC Analytics Cloud, SAP Analytics Cloud, you are going to build the planning models and dimensions for that particular scenario in the preparation phase. And you are going to add planning functionalities. So in the planning models, right, you need to set up some validation rules. You have to configure the data locking, data actions, allocation processes, multi-actions. So these are the things we are going to configure in the system. So in this course, I'm going to cover in the preparation phase, whatever you see here, all these we are going to cover in this particular course. On top of the models, we are going to add all these additional planning functionalities. Then we are going to, once the modeling is completed, right? Once the modeling completes, then we are going for stories. In the story, stories are like in the stories we can add pages. In the pages we can add widgets like charts, tables, and all those. So we also have some value driver trees. So we are going to add in the stories, we are going to add planning tables, planning value driver trees. Yesterday I explained value driver tree. At the lower level, you can plan your drivers. Those upper level calculations automatically updated in the value driver tree. And then in the calendar, so once you complete your modeling, so user needs some guidance, right? Otherwise, they don't know what is the first activity or what is the second activity or what is the first task they have to perform, what is the next task they have to perform, and where to submit, where to approve, where to result. So we have calendar. As part of calendar, we are going to set up and assign tasks and processes, right, in this particular preparation phase. So we can schedule the data. So some calculations we can schedule the multi actions, we can schedule the data locking tasks. So this is what we are going to perform in the preparation phase, first phase, when you start the project. Once you complete this preparation phase, now you are into planning phase. So whatever tasks, whatever objects I mentioned here, all those things we are going to create and we are going to execute in the system. So in the planning phase, it's basically covers input data, right? So we are going to cover input data into whatever input templates you have in that, how to input the data, how to share your work with other users. If you want any interactive collaboration, interactive changes, so we are going to add in this particular planning phase. So once we have set up all the preparation work, the user can open those stories. As part of preparation work, we created stories. So in the stories, in the planning phase, what happens? We open that stories. We can start inputting the data. So here you see ad hoc planning possible. Ad hoc planning means you don't have any previous data. You are directly entering. You are looking at the actual. You can enter the data directly. So do manual entry. Use the planning panel. Add new dimension members. So manual entry. So you are enter like Excel. You write numbers. So here also you can, in the tables, planning tables, you can enter the data. Then adding use the planning panel, in the sense you can top down planning, you can perform, you can plan at a top level, and you can distribute those data to lower levels using planning panels. You can on the fly add new members. So this is one area. And see here, you can also create your own private versions. In that private version, you can perform this ad hoc planning. And then the second step, you are going to enter data using planning tools. There is another way to enter the data. So you can use planning processes, data actions, allocations to on top of this data, right? So you can have some uh, calculations. And also for this plan data, you have value driver trees, simulations. You can also have predictive forecast. So this is manual entry. If you want, you can use predictive forecasting techniques also on top of this plan data. Or without entering this manual entry, based on your actual data, you can refer your actual data and system can predict your forecast. You have time series based on time dimension, so you can estimate next 12 months or for 13 months forecast also you can complete. So once the plan data is done, so on top of, for example, if you have operational expenses, you want to allocate service cost or utilities to some other cost centers, you can perform allocations. There are dependent data actions. You can create multi actions and you can execute those multi actions. The user can execute these multi actions. If you want to integrate BPC embedded, you can integrate and you can run that BPC planning processes. So the versions data you planned in the versions, and the data you can publish the data for the reviews. And see, whatever data you added, the user added, you can share that data to the with the viewers, whomever. So viewers in the sense the reviewers. One is going to perform the planning, another one is going to approve the planning. And the viewer can approve or reject, and he can add his comments in this particular stories, whatever you shared. So this is the second phase, planning phase. So first you start with the preparation phase, you complete your modeling, your stories design, data actions, multi actions, creation. Then all those modeling you have done for the end user. So the end user is going in the planning phase, the end user is going to use whatever you in the modeling, whatever you created, all these objects, the end users, performers, reviewers going to use. And they're going to enter the data. To enter the data to the performers and reviewers, SAP delivered some techniques. They can use those techniques. So here the data entering completed. So the input completed. Once the input completes, final phase starts. So it's all about calendar tasks, reviewing the data, publishing the data, locking the data, exporting the data, right? So that is the final phase in any project. So in the final phase, you are going to complete the planning process with this final phase. We can create, so every company will have some calendar, planning calendar we call it as. So from the calendar, you can create the planning process and you can give the due dates. For the finance cost center, they should complete their finance expenses by this particular time, due date. You can also send reminders also if they don't complete by the due date. So we create the calendar tasks based on the due dates, start date, end date, dependencies, which stories they have to complete, all those things. We submit our data. The performer is going to submit the data according to this calendar task. The submitted data goes to the reviewer. The reviewer will have some time, 2-3 days time. That also we can define. He approves or rejects that particular task. When if he rejects, he can add comments also. Once the data is approved by the reviewer, the data can be published to the versions. The versions can be shared with others. Public versions, whomever is having access to this public version, they can check the planning data. Once all are okay with this published data, the data should be locked for the changes. So setting the data locks. Once the data is locked, but all these activities we performed in the SAC. Now this data, whatever data we completed, that we need to export to S4HANA system. Your expenses, you want to use it for cost center budgeting. So you want to budget control system. So you can move this exported data, you can export this data to that particular S4HANA system. So modeling phase, preparation phase, it is basically modeling phase designed for the consultant. You as a consultant, you have to perform all these activities. And planning phase, initially you have to understand all these planning phase activities, how to plan the data, how to execute these allocations, multi actions and all those things. Later you have to train the user all these activities. This is how you have to perform the planning activity. This is how you can use the predictive forecast. Even final phase, you have to execute and you have to train the user. This is how you have to complete your workflow. This is how you have to log the data. This is how you have to export the data. These activities, you have to train them and you have to complete the project. Preparation phase, planning phase, and finalization phase. This is all about implementing a planning project. We'll stop now. From the next week and months, we will start the course. I will tell you in the next week, I will tell you how to create a SSE trial user. The session time, as I mentioned yesterday, 9 p.m. IST. I have here somewhere. Right. So 9 p.m. IST to 11 p.m. IST, Saturday and Sunday. Whomever interested, kindly send an email to me. I will add you in the distribution list, and tomorrow I will send you all the details, course details, and also I will send demo and day one recording. Yeah. Any questions?
Kiran, just one quick question. Based on your experience, how much do you think is the sample content usable for implementation, or how much we have to rebuild things for implementing integrated financial planning?
Right. So if you see the content, right, the modeling part of the content you can use 100%, right?
Okay,
Only the stories part, because SAP developed the stories, your user might not happy with that stories. You have to develop your input template. So you can go with the mixed scenario, modeling you use as it is, and stories you can adopt.
okay, thanks.
Right. So I'm stopping the recording.